Okay guys, we're now going to fix the colors on our picture using our RGB channels with the tone curve. But before we start, I want to tell you how they work. The red channel is responsible for two opposite colors, red and greenish blue. If we raise this point here, the red will tint the photo. If we lower it, we get a greenish blue. Also, when we raise this point, not only do we get a tint, but also an increase in exposure. You can see it on the histogram. When we move the channel up, it approaches the right side of the histogram, which is responsible for the lightest tones. If we have the same point on the curve across three channels, raised to the same distance, then our picture won't change in color. Only its exposure will change. Each channel allows us to correct color in its many light tones. I can color the shadows either red or blue. Look here. I'm fixing a point on the light side of the curve to change the shadows only. Look, my shadows are now in red or blue tones. I can manipulate the colors this way in every channel. To work with a curve, you need to understand how the colors mix. What color should you add to red to get orange? A painter will immediately tell you that you need to add some yellow. But in the digital world, it would be green. You can see it on the screen here. Or what color should you add to blue if you want to get a lighter blue? It's green, of course. I go back to the green channel, fix my point on the curve, and slowly move it upwards, and the blue changes to cyan. So now that I've explained how the color channels work, let's adjust the color in our picture. First, we'll go to the red channel and adjust the dark tones of our image. I want the shadows to be more cyan blue. So I will move the lowest point slightly to the right. To move your point slowly and more accurately, you need to press Alt on the keyboard, or the Option key for those of you with a Mac. I'll fix the next point a little higher, but also in the shadows section. I want to see how it affects the shadows. It's very important not to overdo it. You can always add various tints, but if you overdo it at this stage, it will be difficult to fix at a later stage in Photoshop. Toning is more convenient in Photoshop because you can move your point with the arrow keys. But I am doing it in Lightroom because we are working with a raw file format, which has a greater range of colors and lights, and the picture quality is preserved regardless of manipulations. When in Photoshop, any adjustment is a loss of quality. For the next point, we will use the eyedropper tool. This point will be responsible for the color of the skin. To properly tint the skin tone, you need to fix this point somewhere in the shadows of the face. Look, I'm setting my point by selecting a shaded area near the eye and then carefully moving it upwards so that all of my skin tones are red. The next point on the curve is for the lighter tones. Look, there's a blue backlight over here. I'm going to lower the point with the curve just a notch so that the lightest tones of our picture are blue. And now we have a complementary combination of contrasting colors. We are almost done with the red channel. Let's move on to the blue. We don't really need to adjust the green channel because we don't care for the green-purple tones. In the blue channel, we'll also tone the darkest shadows even more by raising the lowest point on the curve slightly up. The next point goes a little higher and adjust the skin tone. Since we toned the skin more red in the red channel, here we'll need to dilute it with yellow to make it a bit more orange. We need to adjust the middle and light tones. And we need to do it well because we don't want our skin to be too yellow or too purple. So I'm going to fix this point exactly in the middle of the curve. Okay, we've fixed all of our colors. And we now have a picture split into two complementary colors. We have our shadows and highlights in blue tones, while the middle, bright flame-like tones are red, orange. Now let's add a little overall exposure to make everything more visible. That sums it up, guys. In the next lesson, we'll talk about the radial filters.